real estate agents, are you prepared for the upcoming market of 2024? The moving season is coming up, and you're going to want to know the latest tips and techniques on how to communicate with potential buyers, how to communicate with potential sellers, what you're going to need to do to grow your audience and to demonstrate value as a real estate agent. Well, we have Jimmy Mackin. He was the keynote speaker at our RealtyHack Summit in January. He killed it. We had the most amazing feedback from him, and he's going to go over all of what you might need to be doing to attract more customers. Before we get to that, be sure and look us up on your favorite podcast platform by typing in RealtyHack and subscribing.
All right, guys. So I wanted to introduce my friend Jimmy Mackin. I've known Jimmy for 8 years. Jimmy and Chris started, I don't know if you guys remember the water cooler years ago, where they were on, they do a YouTube show, and they would drink beer and cuss, and I just loved it. Talk about real estate. So I've worked with him for years. He's the most brilliant marketer in the real estate space. He's been a good friend to our company. And I was in Dallas, I don't know, was that October, I think? And at the Tom Ferry conference, and I saw the keynote for one of the days with Jimmy, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So without further ado, Jimmy Mackin.
Thank you, Ryan. All right. All right. You know, real estate is one of those jobs that looks easy when you're not the one doing it. You know? And I think as an industry, we have an opportunity to try to think about how we can position ourselves, how we can market ourselves, how we can communicate to the larger audience to be able to attract business. And so for today's session, it's great to be back in Austin, by the way. That's such an amazing city. I mean, like I lived in Boston for 10 years before I moved to, my wife dragged me to the suburbs, and we live in New Hampshire now, which is awful. But Austin's got a soft space in my heart. It's like the Boston of the South. So what we're going to talk about today is ways in which you can attract listings for your business. I mean, like, yeah, we can just bring it down. This is going to be worth it. Trust me. We're talking about how to get listings for your business. Now, I'm in the business of helping people get customers. That's what I do all day long, every day. And so what I want to do is I want to break down the different strategies and tactics and ideas to help you go from where you are today and hopefully reach whatever goal you set, whatever objective you have to obtain in 24. But before we get into any of that, I think we have to take a moment. We have to take a moment right now and just give ourselves a pat on the back. I mean, you guys survived 2023. I mean, like, you survived 1,000 interest rate hikes. You survived every techno NFT bro on YouTube telling the world the market was going to crash. You survived every prop tech company who raised billions of dollars to put you out of business, to disrupt this industry. I think the real estate agent proved in 2023 that we are indisruptible. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that. And so when I think about the hope and optimism going into 24, we got to get on our horse early. I mean, we got to get our heads in the game early because there is so much opportunity. So before I talk about strategies, we have to first kind of look at the macro market for a second. So in 1999, a company called Webvan raised $1.2 billion with the idea of delivering groceries online. This was in 99, okay? They expanded to 26 cities, they hired 1,000 employees, and within 3 years they were bankrupt. Who bought them? Is that here? Amazon? That's right, Amazon bought them. A few years later, they bought the robotics company, and Amazon, what we all know as Prime, and we're getting your groceries delivered from Whole Foods. The underlying technology was built by a company 7 years, 8 years earlier. And when you think about marketing, timing really matters. And so obviously Amazon has dominated the online grocery business. In fact, it was so successful that other major retailers decided they want to get into the space. And of course, Walmart was one of those retailers. Now, Walmart wanted to differentiate itself. Walmart wanted to stand out. And so what Walmart said, they said, we're not only going to allow you to deliver groceries to your house, we will go in your house and put the groceries away for you. What do you think people's response was to that? I don't even trust the employees of Walmart while I'm at Walmart. So not all innovation is good innovation. So what we're going to talk about today is this experience I had in Q4. You know, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I think I haven't seen a period of time where there was more anxiety and stress about the future. I was talking to agents who've been selling real estate for 30, 40 years, and they're saying, Jimmy, 2023 was my worst year ever. So I called my buddy Tom Ferry. I said, Tom, listen, I got a crazy idea. I think we can do something in Q4 to help agents grow their business. And so Tom's like, yep, let's get after it. And so we developed a program called 100K in 100 days. Anyone actually take that program? There we go. We got one guy in the audience. And I'm going to break this down for you. So the idea was we wanted to help in Q4 agents generate $100,000 of commission in 100 days. And what happened was, when we looked at it, that's actually 2 times the amount of commission an agent typically makes in 1/3 of the time. So we organized over 2,000 agents to be able to develop this strategy. And here were the numbers. I'll come back here for 1 second. Oh, let's see if we got it here. There we go. We had agents make 1.8 million phone calls. They had 118,000 conversations. They booked 11,000 appointments. And we took on 4,657 listings. That was in 53 days. We ended the 100K in 100 days taking on over 8,000 listings, $3.5 billion in volume. We did it in Q4 across all of North America. And so what I'm going to break down for you today are the different strategies and ideas and tactics that we coach agents on to help them get listings. Claire and I were talking a moment ago, and I'm actually curious if you guys know this. How many people sell real estate in Austin? What's the number? How many agents are there in Austin? Well, good, that's a good point. 18,000? 16,000. And how many homes sold last year in Austin? Claire was just up here. She gave you the number. What was it? Yell it out for me. 30,000? Is that right? Well, what's the number? That's right? 30,000? Okay, so let's do the math here. There are, give or take, 15 or 16,000 people who have a license, and there are 30,000 sales. I mean, you guys are in the Hunger Games right now. You with me on this? I mean, it is ultra competitive. Now, the reality, and we all know this, is the vast majority of agents don't sell any houses. But we also know that there are a lot of agents who sell one house, who are part-time, who just have, their brother-in-law's best friend sold real estate, so they get a referral. And so we as agents, if we want to build a career, we have to separate ourselves from the average agent. And so what I'm going to share with you is the 5 listing attraction strategies to help you stand out. So the first one's going to be the ZMA, ZVA, and the CMA strategy. By the way, this is going to be really tactical. These are exactly what to do, exactly what to say, exactly who to market to. The second one's going to be your hidden sellers strategy. The third is going to be direct response advertising. We'll talk about prospecting. And then finally, we'll get into how to leverage your listings and turn them into more listings. Does anybody know who this guy is? You probably shop here. That's it. That's Jim Senegal, CEO of Costco. How much does a Coke or a soda and a hot dog cost at Costco? It's been a tough market, huh? That's right, $1.50. Does Costco make any money on the hot dog and the soda? No. It's a loss leader. That's right. Why do they do it? They do it because they want to get people in the store. It's symbolic. It helps represent their brands of cost savings. The hot dog and the soda have been the same price for over 40 years. In fact, when the new CEO came on board for Costco, he pulled Jim Senegal aside and said, hey, Jim, listen, we're losing money on the hot dog. We're going to have to raise the prices. Do you know what Jim Sinegal said? If you change the price of the hot dog, of the fucking hot dog, I'll kill you. Okay? So the Costco hot dog for us in real estate is the CMA. It's the loss leader. It's the thing that takes time and energy and effort that if we do it, it doesn't necessarily directly make us money, but it leads to other revenue opportunities. So the first strategy I'm going to break down for you is something I call the ZMA. All right, follow along here. In your database, you've got 50 clients, 100 clients, 500 clients, people you've sold real estate to. The way the ZMA works is very simple. Every day, you take 3 to 5 people, you take a photo of their home on Zillow. Okay, take a screenshot. So you pull up their address on Zillow, follow me along here, pull up their address on Zillow, take a screenshot, and then you just text them this exact script. Hey Ryan, I was on Zillow earlier today looking for a few properties in your neighborhood, and I thought I'd check out your home's estimate. They estimate your home's value is $1.849 million. Second text, include the screenshot of their property on Zillow. Third text, I have my opinion, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? That's it. We're never going to get a listing from a text message. What we're going to get from a text message is a conversation that leads to an appointment, that leads to a listing. So once you start getting in motion on this, 3 to 5 of these per day, what ends up happening, you start having a lot more real estate related conversations. I mean, I want everybody in this room to have a massive bias for action. I mean, I don't want you sitting playing defense. Defense was all last year. We got to be on our front foot here. So let's keep building on this idea. This is an example, my client, Connie Carlson. For those of you who don't have a lot of past clients, or as you work through your past clients, this is the exact same strategy, which is what you do is you print out a screenshot of their Zestimate. You put a sticky note on it. Now listen, I know we're in Austin, so we can't say, would you sell for more than 10% more than this? Text me at this number. The percentage doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what the percentage is. The idea is take a screenshot, print the screenshot out, add a sticky note saying, hey, would you sell your house for this number? If so, text me at this, given the number. She sent out, in the last week, she sent out 120, and she's now had 4 conversations and 1 listing appointment. I mean, she's in motion on this stuff. So you've got the ZMA, which is a text message to your past clients, your SOI. You've got the ZMA, like farm edition. And let me give you a quick pro tip. There's a tool called PropStream. Does anyone here use PropStream? A few people? We got one guy who's using everything. There it is. So PropStream, listen up on this one. This is important. Do not send mail to people who bought a house 2 years ago. I mean, the likelihood of them selling their property is near zero at this stage. Identify where there are hot spots in the market. Identify where you can identify sellers where they're likely to sell. So whether they own the home for 7 or 10 years, or if they got an interest rate of 4.5%. Like, let's just do some logic here. If someone has an interest rate of 4%, but they've owned the house for, say, 8 years, why didn't they refinance during the refinance boom? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the point? I'm probably going to be selling soon anyways. I don't want to go through the hassle. So with PropStream, what I would do if I was you, and I would actually write this down, people who own a house for more than 7 years, who have an interest rate of 4+%, who have equity of 30+%. I mean, the market is down a little bit, but if you look at Claire's data, over the last 7 years, it's up and to the right. And so you can identify thousands of homes in your farm that are much more likely to sell than someone who bought their house in 2020, as an example. And by the way, this is a quick pro tip. She actually writes out handwritten envelopes to the customer. She doesn't mass produce it. She hand writes the envelopes out. She sweats the details. ZVA. What happens when you list a property to the Zestimate? When you go to Zillow, what happens to the Zestimate when you list a property? Well, like so let's say it's at $500,000, you list a home for $600,000, what happens to the Zestimate? It just magically goes to $600,000, right? I hope Zillow's not sponsoring this event, Ryan. But But with all the machine learning and all the algorithms they got, they wait for you to set the price, and all of a sudden the Zestimate jumps up. And so the problem with that, of course, is, hey, that's fine. There's no problems there. The problem is, of course, is that when you sell the house for $605,000, you look like you just sold the house for the Zestimate. But you and I both know that you sold the house for $40,000 or $50,000 above the Zestimate. And so what I want you to do, and this is super important, I would write this down, before you list any property, take a screenshot of the Zestimate before you put it in the MLS. So now you have a record or proof that, hey, this is what Zillow said the home was worth. And how you're going to use this is something called the Zillow or the Zestimate versus agent strategy. Your neighbor recently entrusted my team with selling their home at 1456 3rd Avenue. Zillow estimated their home value was $717,000. We sold it for $820,000. That's a $102,000 difference. Then you include the screenshot of before the home was on the market and then after you sold the property. Then you turn the corner anytime, and this is important, anytime a home sells in your neighborhood, it has a big impact on your home's value. However, you can't always trust Zillow to get your home values right. Would you like me to prepare a professional home value report for you? Call me or text me. I mean, this strategy crushes. Every time you sell a house, you can do the Zestimate versus agent. You circle prospect. So while every agent in your market is doing like holding up the just sold and just listed signs and doing the just sold and just sold postcards, while everyone's doing the same thing over and over again, we have an opportunity to stand out. That's how we win in this market. Okay, so let's keep building on this idea. Let's talk about CMAs. This is my guy, and I would actually write this down, my guy Ken Pozak. Ken Pozak is an agent who sells about $250 million in real estate in Orlando, Florida. He's got a great team. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel. What you're looking at right now is a text message between me and Ken where he's telling me he made $80,000 in commission in 1 week. How did he do it? He sent an unsolicited CMA. And this is the exact script he used. Hey, Ryan, I just want to do a quick equity update for you. It looks like homes like yours are selling between $625 and $675, depending on finishing and amenities. I'm not sure if you had any thoughts of selling this year, but even if you don't, I wanted to know where you're at. 30 CMAs, 8 agents, 12 appointments, 5 listings taken, 1 buy side as well. He did it again 6 months later, basically the same exact results. So when we talk about this idea, a ZMA, Zillow versus agent, CMA, I mean, it's getting ourselves in motion. And if you want to do a kind of a quick gut check, is how many CMAs did you send this week? Let's exclude today. What's today, by the way, Ryan? Thursday? So like, how many CMAs did you send on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday? If the answer is like 0 or like 3, then don't be surprised if your production lags. I mean, we're in a delayed gratification world. Now, I'm gonna give you a pro tip here. This is where we start having a little bit of a cheat code. If I'm doing a CMA every day, right, an unsolicited CMA every day to my guy Ryan, well, if I find homes that are selling, let's say I did a CMA, the home appreciated, I don't know, $300,000 since they bought the house in 2015. What I'm gonna now do is I'm gonna take that, what we refer to as a marketable moment, and I'm gonna share that on social media. Let me give you an example of this. This is called a working in public moment. This is my client, Tammy Montgomery. I sold this house in Benton in 21. I did an equity evaluation today. They earned over $100,000 in equity in the last 2 years. Now, Austin, again, we have to go back maybe 5 years to get this impact. If you want a free equity evaluation, just DM me and I'll have it to you in a jiffy. She's from Louisiana. That's why she used words like jiffy. Okay? 3 people reached out to her instantly. Hey, I'd love one for my house. So follow along here. You're sending a CMA out every day to 2 or 3 people, as an example. When you have one that, let's say, gained a ton of equity because you helped them buy it 2015, that's what we call a marketable moment. Now, for all the Gen Zers in the room, you can also do this on Instagram, okay? Take a poll. Hey, I just did an equity report for my clients who's gained $155,000 in equity in the past 4 years. Here's the poll. Just do exactly this. do you want an equity report? Yes, please. What's an equity report? Help me buy so I can make that kind of cash. And so when people respond to the poll, which happens every day on Instagram, then we can slide into their DMs, have a conversation, book an appointment, get a listing. We got 9,000 or 8,000 listings for $3.5 billion in production in Q4 in 100 days using tactics like this. It just works, but we got to get in motion. So this is the basic idea. This is what I'd coach you on. 5 CMAs per day. This is sharing the success stories on Instagram and then sliding into people's DM. All right. So up until this point, we've covered one of the 5 strategies I'm going to break down for you. The second one is going to be on buyers. Does anybody know the significance of this tweet? You guys are from Austin. You should probably know this. It's the first tweet. That's right. The other significance is this tweet was actually sold as an NFT for $2.9 million. Do you know how much it's worth now? They can't get $4 for it. Okay? Because it's a picture that's available online, right? Don't let them tell you otherwise. And so the reason I bring it up is I think buyers are kind of like NFTs in the sense that I think the value of a buyer has dropped dramatically. We all want listings, right? Listings are the lifeblood of a healthy business. If you've got listings, it's guaranteed income. It's predictable, right? A listing has the ability to compound. So for many of us, especially when interest rates were 7.5%, 8%, do we want really more buyers? For most of us, the answer was no. Now, maybe that's changing a bit. But the reality is that there are listings when you go after buyers. When you attract buyers, because sellers masquerade as buyers online, you're going to find some listings. Realtor.com put out this data. 72% of sellers are also buyers. So sellers masquerade as buyers online. So we have to develop buyer strategies to also attract more listings. Here's an example of a poll that my friend Coach Will Draper shared with me on Instagram. He got 364 responses, 8 buyer leads that are ready to rock. Now what that translates for me is like probably 1 to 2 additional listings as well. And I'll come back for a second just so you can see the poll here. This is the actual poll he had. When he has a listing, he posts it on Instagram, guess this price. And people just respond, 500,000, 600,000. And then he just DMs them the details and says, tell me more what's going on with your situation. Do you have any plans this year to buy or sell real estate? I mean, he goes from a poll to a DM to a conversation to you guys with me? To an appointment. I mean, that's the process. Now, this is another example of a poll you can use on Instagram. A guy by the name of Chris Anderson, who was he's the guy that does the TED Talks. You ever see him? Like, he's the host of TED. I'm not sure if he's actually the founder of TED. He was the editor-in-chief of Wired magazine. He had this great line. He said, we are moving from the age of information to the age of recommendation. I mean, when we log on to Amazon, they're recommending products we should buy. When I go onto Netflix, they're showing me shows I should watch. When I log into Instagram, it's showing me content based on my past behavior, what I clicked on, what I viewed, as an example. So consumers are becoming conditioned for information to be fed to them. So this is what we call an offer poll. Who wants a list? This is the poll that he used. And again, you can see the amount of responses on this. Who wants a list of all the available new construction homes in El Paso? I mean, who wants a list of all the new construction homes in Austin? Who wants a list of all the homes that had a price reduction in Austin? Who wants access to the best deals of this week in Austin? I know they can go to Zillow or Realtor.com or Homes.com, but people want information fed to them. They want someone to provide that to them, as an example. He got 30 people to opt in on that. Again, conversations lead to appointments, appointments lead to customers. And so let's keep building on this, because I'm going to share another strategy with you that I love. And this is a strategy that, I mean, everybody in this room can execute. This guy's name is Ron Johnson. He was the brilliant mind behind the greatest retail store in history, which of course is the Apple Store. He was the guy who helped design it with Steve Jobs. On the success of the Apple Store, he got poached to work for JCPenney. And the first thing he did, because JCPenney at the time was, a floundering retail company, he said, we have got to get away with all these deals and discounts. He's like, we got 300 plus deals and discounts. Every day of the week is a deal or discount, JCPenney. He goes, the consumer's not stupid. They know that we're just reducing the prices like the fake Black Friday deals. He goes, I got an idea. We're going to roll out something called the fair and square pricing, where all they had was the same prices every day, that had monthly value, and you'd have like 3 different pricing tiers. It was simple. It was easy to explain, easy to understand. So nothing at JCPenney was listed at like $9.99. Everything was just $10. It wasn't $25.99. It was just $26. He rolled it out during Christmas season, had a huge marketing campaign behind it. What happened in JCPenney's sales? They went up? Who thinks they went up? Who thinks they went down? Yeah, they dropped 40%. In fact, the board of directors reduced his salary by 99% to send a message, which was like really petty, by the way, right? But it's kind of cool. So it turns out people like deals, the deal of the week. They like deals. And so what you're looking at right now is a campaign that you can create every single week called the Deal of the Week campaign. I mean, does this have to be your listing? Yes or no? No, it does not have to be your listing. As a professional real estate agent who doesn't want to be broke, you should be marketing and advertising and selling every single day. You should be studying the market every single day. And you should be identifying what homes in the area are actually the ones that you want to put in front of your clients. So the Deal of the Week campaign is something that you can just leverage every single week to start more conversations, book more appointments, and get more customers. Now, this to me is one of the best kept secrets in marketing. I was making fun of Gen Zs earlier. I'm a millennial. They actually call me now, I'm 38, they call me a geriatric millennial. I don't know why they decided to add the word geriatric behind it. So this may be news to some of you in the room, but Instagram has something called a broadcast channel. Who here, by a show of hands, has a broadcast channel? Right? A few people. Now you know, see, you don't even want me to share this because it's so good. You don't want me to, I can see you right now. An IG broadcast channel is the equivalent of mass texting without the fines. You have the ability to build a channel, invite your followers to subscribe, and then you can send hundreds or thousands of people a DM. I mean, it is magic. I mean, it is legit magic. And so what we're coaching our clients on is this basic idea of having a Deals of the Week IG broadcast channel. So if you got a couple hundred followers on Instagram, a couple thousand followers on Instagram, you create a broadcast channel solely dedicated to Deal of the Week. And what you're looking at right now is my guy, Jordan Rossman, and you can see he's not sharing a link to Zillow or to his website. He's driving to the property, he's taking a selfie, and he's pointing to it. You with me on this? Like, it's personal, it's authentic, it's real. And what happens now, he's got a couple hundred people on that channel, he's getting messages like this. Hey, my son's relocating to Aurelia next month and is looking, can you please send me some pics? I mean, this is inbound business. These are people who are raising their hand. So when I think about this idea of a Deal of the Week, it's you can send a Deal of the Week through an Instagram story. You could do it as an email campaign. You could also launch an IG broadcast channel to have more conversations, book more appointments, and get more customers. All right, let's keep building. So we talked about the hidden buyer strategy. We're going to get into direct response advertising. One of the greatest marketing plays in the last 15 years was by Casper. They were the true innovator. And they delivered mattresses, as we all know, in a box. And right now, there are, I don't know, you guys tell me what, 30, 40, 50 companies that do this? It's a mattress. They got Avocado as a company, Tuft & Needle, Purple. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And what happens is, when you become an innovative company, people start to copy you. Here's an example of 4 of the major mattress companies' websites. What stands out to you? I'm sorry, say that again? Same web design, yeah. What are they selling? Selling sleep? No, what are they selling? Read the words. Deal, 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 deal. Save 15% off our pillows, right? Save 30% off our sound machines. Save 10% site-wide on our, Egyptian cotton linen. I mean, when everything looks the same, you have to compete on price. There are 16,000 realtors in Austin, give or take? The reality is that we are very much like the mattress company, where we are blending in with everybody else. And when you blend in with everybody else, it's confusing for the consumer. Like this dude was confused when he said, beds should look like beds. I ordered this when I was high because I thought it was a giant ice cream sandwich. It's not. It's not the bed I wanted, or the $150 ice cream sandwich. In all fairness, it does look like an ice cream sandwich, okay? So we got to think about creative ways as agents to stand out. And I love direct response marketing. I mean, direct response marketing is how you get customers. Like, does anybody here have the Stanley Cups? You all right? What do they call them? The 40-ounce. I know Sonny's got it. Wherever Sonny's in the room right now. By the way, can we give Ryan and Sonny a round of applause for putting on this amazing event? Seriously. There's a ton of work doing these things. We used to do a lot of events at Curaytor, and then I realized it's better to have a friend with a boat than to own the boat. So, by the way, the Stanley Cup, right? The Stanley Cup, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the trophy. I'm talking about the thermostats. My uncles own a construction company, and they're the quintessential New England construction dudes that would get canceled, but they're so unbelievably offensive they don't. So they used to use Stanley Cups. Now all of a sudden you got yoga moms kicking each other at Target to get the Rose Gold Quencher. How the hell did a company that's 110 years old that sold to my uncles transition into, right, a brand that now is reaching an entirely different demographic? Right? Yes, women did it. Women do, by the way, women do everything, obviously. Yeah, pretty much. At least all the good stuff. Yes, men definitely did not do it. That's for sure. By the way, that company, they sold $79 million of their Rose Gold Quenchers, in 2019. They did $750 million in sales last year. Guys, marketing is magic, okay? I mean, it is close to magic as you can get. So let me give you some magic tricks. There's Google has this, and I would write this down. This is really important. Google has something called the Google Ad Transparency Center. Google Ad Transparency Center. I mean, clearly an engineer named that. The Google you can go up and look. What is Zillow doing to advertise to sellers? What's Homes? What's Orchard? What's Open Door? What's 72 Sold? Right? What are all these companies who are attracting sellers doing? How are they advertising to consumers? You can actually identify all the different ad campaigns they're running. Let me give you an example of a killer direct response campaign. This is called the Name Your Price strategy. Subject line, name your price. Could you finish this sentence for me? If I could sell my house for blank, I would list my house this spring. I can't wait to hear your answer. I mean, before you get a drink at the bar, text this to 4 or 5 of your clients. See what happens. I mean, this is magic. If something works with email, you can also translate it to direct mail. This is an example of a direct mail campaign that we sent for one of our clients, Gretchen Coley. 130 responses. She got 8 listings from this campaign. Does this look like every other just listed, just sold postcard you see coming in your mailbox? It's completely different. We ain't selling mattresses, right? You gotta stand out in the inbox, in the mailbox, in the DM box, if they call it that, okay? Here's an example of a client of mine that got a $800,000 listing from this campaign. Super, super simple. called the Godfather strategy. If a buyer offered you more than 15% above your estimate, would you sell your home? Posing a hypothetical question. Incredibly simple. And again, it doesn't have to be 15%. It could be 3%, 5%. It could be at the Zestimate. Asking a hypothetical question starts a conversation, gets an appointment, turns into a customer. This guy is one of my favorite CEOs on the planet. First off, he made the most cardinal error if you're going to be a public speaker, which is if you're wearing a lav mic, always button the top button, okay? Always button the top button. This is the CEO of a company called Groupon. And Groupon was a business that, it was the fastest growing business since Google, right? In the 2010 era. I mean, they exploded on the scene. They went IPO, and of course, we all kind of know the story. What happened was, it turns out, offering discounts to people attract the worst kind of clients who won't become repeat customers, who are a huge pain in the ass, and you shouldn't do it. So Groupon stock fell 512%. As a result of that, unfortunately, Andrew had to resign as the CEO of Groupon. And he wrote what I think is the greatest resignation letter of all time. He said, "People of Groupon, after 4.5 intense years, and wonderful years as your CEO, I've decided I'd like to spend more time with my family." Just kidding, I was fired today. And so there is something special and magical about being honest and truthful with your marketing. Home values have dropped in Austin. We do not have to defend the market. The market does not have feelings, okay? The consumer knows these things. The more that we try to pretend like it's not a big deal or impacts them, the less credibility that we have. So what I want to coach you on is a strategy that I love, which is, I call it the Groupon strategy, which is to be brutally honest. This is an example of a campaign that we sent out, and this one was in North Carolina. There are 55,000 realtors in North Carolina, but only a few who are brave enough to tell you the truth. The real estate gold rush is over. But this might surprise you. Just last month, 807 people bought a house in Raleigh. And so what we're trying to do is admit that the market has shifted, but also give them hope that there's still a ton of activity. Every day people are buying and selling in Austin, irrespective of what's happening with home prices. Now the company that we use, and I would write this down, the company that we use is a company called YellowLettersComplete.com. So Yellow Letters Complete. They send the mail in one of those little small envelopes you get for like a wedding invitation, and it's on yellow letter, and there's also a sticky, some poor person in Wisconsin is writing these sticky notes. It's a, they're getting paid, okay? But yes, not a great job. They're writing your sticky notes for you. And it stands out in the mailbox. Let me give you another example of one. This is the campaign I developed just about 2 weeks ago. You can see the response rate: 7 CMAs, 2 appointments, 20 CMAs, 5 appointments, 30 CMAs. I mean, this campaign I'm about to show you is so insanely, this is probably the first email you should send to your database as soon as you leave here today. What happened to your equity in 2023? I'm setting aside a few hours this week to put together a home equity report for my clients. These reports are more comprehensive and accurate than what you get from an online tool. Can I send you one for your home? Let me know. Happy New Year. Now, you got like a day to send this because we're kind of at the expiration when you can say Happy New Year to people. So you got to get the thing out the door. This one, I'm going to go back for a slide. This has generated thousands of listing conversations and appointments in the last 2 weeks. Now, the subject line that we had was, how much equity did you gain in 23? But we're in Austin, so I changed it for you. What happened to your equity in 2023? That's the question that's going to be going through a lot of sellers' heads right now, is how much equity did I lose this past year in this market? They want to know what the answer is. Okay, here's another example of a campaign for you. You can just take a picture of this one. $2.1 million listing. We spent like $1,100 to send this to high-end luxury homes in North Hills. North Hills is kind of like the Rodeo Drive of this part of Raleigh. It's a beautiful area. I was there a couple months ago. If you want to sell your home in North Hills, but you're concerned it's a bad time, we've got good news. We're actually seeing a lot of strong activity in the North Hills market. And we break down 3 reasons why it's a good time to sell. $2.1 million listing that came as an inbound text message on the back of this campaign. Spend $1,000, made $60,000+. Okay? This is how you can get out of that looking like everybody else, wasting your money on direct mail. Okay, so we covered direct response advertising. We covered the CMA, the CVA, the CMA, the hidden buyer strategy. We covered direct response advertising. Let's talk about sales, prospecting. There's something I've been hearing a lot about for agents saying to me when I'm on the road. They said, Jimmy, nobody picks up the phone anymore. Have you guys heard that from the agents in your office? I know all the team leaders are probably like shaking their head, yeah. No one picks up you know who says that? People who don't make phone calls. Okay? Every agent who doesn't want to make their calls says nobody picks up the phone. Let me give you some data on this. So I'll tell a quick story. I've been in this market in the real estate industry for 15 years. Started my company, Curaytor. We work with 550 of the top teams in the country. Now for like last 10 years, been CEO for the last 4 years. And we've been doing lead generation. I mean, we generate millions and millions and millions of leads every year through Facebook and through Google and through listings. And what would happen is our clients would say, you know, Jimmy, we can't connect with these folks. Or, hey, you know, we got a bad email or bad phone number. You know, hey, Jimmy, like the lead quality is not great. And they'd say, you know what, you know, and some of them, if they're from New Jersey, they'd say, you know, the leads are shit. I got so sick of hearing that. I said, the hell with it. I'll call the leads. And so that's exactly what we did. We built an ISA team, 10 ISAs. We made 185,000 dials. Okay? It turns out the leads are shit. Okay? Like, objectively speaking, they're not layups. Okay? And so your mindset when you're calling strangers shouldn't be, oh, they should be happy to hear from me. I mean, like, that's not how the game works. However, here's a disclaimer. If you make your calls and you have the right scripts and you have the right strategies, you can generate massive results for your business. So if you're someone in the audience right now who's a newer agent, less than 2 years, I mean, you are what I call a high-risk agent. I mean, if you don't get your business in order, you can go back to whatever you were doing before you got into real estate. I mean, this industry chews people up. And all the vets in the room know exactly what I'm talking about. We all remember getting in this industry because we wanted to have work-life balance, right? We all remember that. We all remember that. We want to have work-life balance. Yeah, you can pick your own hours, they said. You can pick your own hours. Like, yeah, you can pick your own hours. It just happens to be 24/7, 365, right? It's like, so long as it's all the time, you can work anytime you want. So what you have to do in this market is you have to get really good at sales, picking up the phone, making the calls. We made 186,000 dials, 53,000 people, 25,000 of them lasted over 30 seconds. We booked 3,800 appointments. Let me break this down for you. If you call 100 people, 29 will pick up the phone. That's okay that the other 61, if I'm doing my math right, did not pick up the phone. 71. Is that 71? Yeah, 71. Did not pick up the phone. It's late. 50% of those people who pick up the phone, the call will last more than 30 seconds. When the call lasts more than 30 seconds, 1 out of 7 will become an appointment. And so I'm going to give you some scripts when you're making calls that's going to make it less awful, but I want to be honest, it's kind of awful, okay? You guys with me on this? Like, there's a great quote, Ryan, from Izzy Sharp, the founder of the Four Seasons. I mean, what an incredible entrepreneur. He says, excellence is the capacity to take pain. Prospecting is the capacity to take pain. I mean, hard stop. Here's an example of a script that you guys can use, which is, this is what I call the Matchmaker Strategy. Anytime a home sells in your farm, You can pick up the phone and start calling those Zillow leads, those Google leads, those Facebook leads, right? Those shitty leads. You can start calling them and say, hey, Ryan, this is Jimmy calling from Spyglass Realty. I'm going to give you a line real quick, by the way. This is super important, so dial in. When you're outbound prospecting and you're calling a cold list, there's a phrase that you need to use every time. Hey, Sonny, this is Jimmy calling with Spyglass Realty. I know that you're not expecting my call. What does that do to the person on the other end of the phone conversation? What's the initial reaction they have to that phrase? They're going to say what? You're right. And all of a sudden, you've got a small admission and you've built some trust and credibility with that individual, and now you've kind of gained enough permission to kind of keep going. So, hey, Sonny, this is Jimmy calling with ABC Realty. I know that you're not expecting my call. The reason I'm reaching out is because we just sold, or 123 Main Street just sold in, Austin, or whatever the neighborhood is. I'm going to be calling around the neighborhood. So again, I'm calling my database. I'm going to be calling around the neighborhood to see if anyone else is interested in putting their house in the market. If I come across any deals, would you like me to let you know? How long is this conversation? 30 to 45 seconds, right? A minute and a half. And yeah, sure. If they're not interested, they're going to say, hey, no, I'm actually good. I'm not buying this year, not buying next year. No, thank you. Take me off your list. Cool. But for the people who are somewhat interested, they don't want to be sold to. In an initial outbound sales call, we are trying to get married before we go on a date. So what we're trying to do in this instance is just get permission to have the second phone call. So anytime a home sells in your farm, and you should know what your farm is, anytime a home sells in your farm, I'm going to my team lead, I'm going to my broker owner, I'm saying, give me a list of 150, 200 leads, because I'm going to start prospecting with this script. And then guess what happens? I make 100 calls, I talk to 29 people, I have 14 conversations. Now I get a bunch of people saying, yeah, hey, I'm interested, I'm thinking about making a move. If you come across any deals, definitely let me know. Now here's where the magic happens. I turn the corner and I call the neighbors. I start circle dialing. Hey, Ryan, this is Jimmy calling with Spyglass Realty. I know that you're not expecting my call. The reason I'm reaching out is because we actually just spoke to a buyer who's thinking about making a move. They're interested in homes in your area. I'm not sure if this is for you, but out of curiosity, have you had any thoughts of putting your home on the market? Talk about how much softer, how much more personalized, how much more relevant that is than just simply slide dialing, dropping these canned voicemails that no one's ever going to respond to. This is why we call it the Matchmaker Strategy. Anyone here read the book, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents? We got a few people, right? Phil, you're seeing some Phil Jones magic words. I'm not sure if you know this, but I co-wrote that book with Phil Jones. The reason you might not know this is I'm about to be very, very petty right now. The reason you might not know this, because if you go to Amazon.com and you look for Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents, it'll say Phil M. Jones, Chris Smith, and then plus one more. And you got to click on that link. Yeah. Phil insisted on having his middle initial. They would have been able to squeeze my whole name in there. So this stuff works. This stuff, it just works. Let me give you a couple more scripts. And by the way, this is a good framework for you. The source plus the purpose. If you're circle dialing, if you're calling internet leads, personalize a script based on the source and the reason why you're calling. This is what I call the insider info. At Spyglass, I'm sure you guys meet on a weekly basis to talk about what listings you have coming up in the next few weeks. This is called inside information. Hey, Stephanie, I just spoke to an agent in my office who's about to list a home that I think is going to sell very quickly. Would you like me to give you a call about it before it hits the market? This is how you use the databases you've got in front of you to have more conversations, book more appointments, get more customers. Expert predictions. Hey, Amber, the reason I'm reaching out is because I was just reviewing all the active homes in Bedford. I think 6 of them are going to have a significant price reduction in the next 2 weeks. Are you around this afternoon to chat? Again, I have a purpose to call. I studied the market. I found a couple deals. Hey, I think a few homes are going to have a price reduction. Do you want to chat about it? And we already covered the sweat equity strategy, which is around circle dialing, as an example. I'm going to give you one more. So my poor mother. So if I'm testing scripts, I'm one of five children. Well, it's 6 of us, actually. I'm one of 6 children. I'm definitely her favorite. My mom's the quintessential boomer. I mean, she is like, if I can get her to respond to something, I know it's going to work, right? It's the short version. And so what you're looking at is something that you can do. And this is a tactic. Anyone here read the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss? I mean, fantastic book. And what we're doing right now is the framing. Hey, I know this is a bit of a crazy question. If I could find you an off-market cash buyer for your property who's going to be paid the price that you want, would you consider selling? No showings, move when it's convenient. Her response was, yeah, I would consider it. And I said, hey, that was a script I was testing. Okay, sorry, Mom. I don't have such a person. What I would do, and again, I think this is truly a cheat code, is if you go on Facebook, if you go to Facebook, where mostly the boomers are going to be hanging around because they haven't made the jump yet. If you go on Facebook, by the way, the boomers aren't jumping on Clubhouse. They're not on X. They're kind of begrudgingly kind of on TikTok, but they're all on Facebook, which is why everyone else kind of left. If you go on Facebook and you go in the chat section, there's a green dot for the people who are actively online right now. And so you have your database, which is your CRM, Follow Up Boss, Lofty, Boomtown, KV Core, whatever it is. That's like your leads. You've got your database, which is the contacts in your phone that you never put into your CRM. And then you have your social database, all the connections you have. You can work all of these lists. So what I would be doing is I would be using these scripts not only as phone calls, but also as DMs to people who are actively online right now. Because if they're online, they're going to see that icon pop up, they got a message. And it's probably the first message they got in a while. So they're going to click on it. So there's an opportunity there. Okay, so let's keep building here. Let me actually give you one script on referrals. Now, I'm going to say this. Can you guys not record this, please? Don't record this part, okay? Because I don't want to get the trolls coming out on this. Yeah, put your phone. I see what you're doing. Put your phone down. Where's Albert? Tell Albert to turn the camera off. Okay. I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm already regretting this. I'm not going to say the person's name, but there is a script in real estate that requests referrals. When I say, what's the standard script to get people to refer you business, what's the first phrase that comes to your mind for you? Can you yell that a bit louder for everybody? Ryan, can you give her the mic, please?
I'm never too busy for your referrals.
Okay. How do we feel about that script? Okay. So I'll give the person credit. It's better to ask than not to ask. But it's kind of objectively the worst script in real estate that gets repeated ad nauseum, because it makes you the person who's the center of the attention, as opposed to being the guide, the helper, the person there to help support that customer. So let me give you one that I think is 100 times better than that. That you're not going to feel really, imagine you're on a call with somebody and you go, hey, by the way, Ryan, I'm never too busy for, how cringeworthy is that? It's hard to even say. Say that to someone. It just immediately turns them off. So here's what I want you to do instead. When you're talking to your past clients or your SOI or your sphere of influence, or you're having a conversation with somebody about the market, hey, one more thing. We've been talking to a lot of folks who are really struggling in this market. Can you think of anyone in your network who hasn't been able to buy or sell that you think I can help? Now say that, right? Every time you talk to somebody about their kids and the soccer game and where they spent the holidays and how the market's going, End every call with your SOI. Oh, one more thing before I forget, Ryan. We've been talking to a lot of folks in this market who've been struggling. Can you think of anyone who hasn't been able to buy or sell? And what's the key line there? That you think we can help. I mean, that is a referral script that's not going to make you feel very uncomfortable saying it over and over again. All right. When you start to build momentum in sales, whether it's the matchmaker strategy, the expert prediction strategy, the sweat equity strategy, whether it's DMing people who are live on Facebook Messenger, whether it's using Jimmy's mom's script or the new 2024 script, when you start to actually get into motion, have a massive bias for action, what happens is you start to gain momentum in sales. And momentum is everything in sales. And you go from this to this, okay? That's still Jeff Bezos, by the way. That's like the glow up. I got divorced, now I'm dating another chick, Jeff Bezos. Still wearing a name badge though, which is worth pointing out. Okay, last one for you guys, and we'll wrap for today. And again, you guys have been awesome. This has been a lot of fun for me. I hope this is valuable. I hope you guys taking tons of notes, right? Thank you. I want you to win. I mean, if you're showing up here, I want you to win. I want you to have a massive bias for action. I want you to win. Okay, let's talk about listings. Marketing listings in 2021 was not like marketing listings in 23. I mean, it's getting harder and harder for us to actively promote listings. However, every time you have a listing, you can turn it into 3 more opportunities. I mean, when you sell a house, it creates 3 more opportunities. Let me give you some examples of this. Take a screenshot of this, if you will, or screenshot, take a photograph. Now I'm starting to sound like a geriatric millennial. Take a photograph, okay? Take a photograph of this. I'm gonna give you, so when you go on a listing appointment, if you're not the #1 agent who sold every single house in Austin, who has a massive team and a track record, if you go into a listing appointment, chances are you're a bit nervous that you might not get it. And I mean, nothing is as demoralizing as walking to a listing appointment, preparing your material, showing up, and the seller saying, no, I'm not gonna work with you. I'm gonna give you a tactic that you can use that will help you win 95% of listing appointments. And here's what it is. It's the old P.T. Barnum quote, nothing draws a crowd quite like a crowd. This is a message you can send to your database. It could be a text message, an email. I'm about to go meet a potential seller. I can't share much, but I'm about to meet a potential seller who's thinking about listing their home. What I can tell you is homes like this typically sell above ask or at ask within a few weeks. If you already know that you want the details, reply to this message VIP. I mean, this can be an Instagram story, it could be your reel, it could be an email, it could be a text message to your SOI, it can be a DM to the boomers on Facebook. I mean, what you're gonna do here is build up some energy and excitement around the listing. What are you selling right now? You're selling the idea of a listing, right? There's no information. You can't give away the location, you can't give away the price, you can't give away the address because the home is not on the market. And so if you do this and you get 5 or 7 people to say, yeah, I'd love to learn more about that property, guess what happens when you walk into that listing appointment and every other agent saying, here's my 35-point marketing plan on how we're gonna sell your house, and I'm part of this big brokerage that has 100,000 agents, and they're all gonna be clamoring to get your home, and I have all these connections on social media and all these buyers. Like, what happens when you're the agent who shows up and says, I think being a great real estate agent is all about marketing. And if you're gonna market something, you should do it before it goes live. And in fact, let me show you, I've got 10 people already who's interested in a property just like yours. What happens in terms of your way to differentiate across the competition? This is how you show versus tell. This is how you stand out amongst every other agent. And oh, by the way, when you do something like this, you can identify who's serious in your database and who's actually thinking about making a move. Here's another example. We don't send emails to our SOI for new listings, but we should. There's a company called Hotmail. This is gonna date me a little bit, but in the 90s, the big race, the big technology race was not social media, it was not search, it was email. I mean, everybody was competing to become the kind of premier email company, which is a kind of a weak flex. And so Hotmail was one of those companies. And so Hotmail developed an email client that allowed people to email back and forth, but they weren't gaining any traction. So what they did, they had a big meeting, say, hey, listen, we're going to go out of business unless we get people to sign up for our email tool. And so one of the people at the table said, I got an idea. Can we include a signature at the end of every email? And they said, yes, we can. He goes, here's what I want you to do. At the end of every email, I want you to say, P.S. I love you. Get your free email at hotmail.com. And the engineers were like, we're not doing it. And he's like, do it. And so they did it, and Hotmail went from a few thousand users to tens of millions of users within a matter of 2 or 3 months. So this strategy here is this basic idea that your SOI might not be buying or selling, but your SOI knows 3 or 4 people who are currently in the market. So when you use a campaign like forward this to a friend, what happens is you turn your SOI into advocates for your brand. They generate referrals for you. We have clients executing this. We're getting 2 or 3 warm referrals every single time they have a listing. So compare and contrast that to what most agents do, which is just put the listing on the MLS, post it on social media, and that's it. I mean, there's opportunities to do some great marketing here to have more conversations. Okay, and I break it down for you here. This is a campaign that generated 3 listings. It's my guy, Jordan Rossman, out of Aurelia, who I mentioned earlier. This is this guy, Jordan is so scared to make phone calls, admittedly himself. He does not want to do it. So he's like, listen, I'm just going to drop pieces of mail in people's mailbox. What's missing from this letter? The folks in the front can read it, can say. What's not included? That is, who said that? The sales price. Correct. Why? You want them to call you. So when you say just sold for $515,000, then I have no other information I can get from you. So he did not include the sales price, and people say, hey, what did it sell for? And now he's having a conversation, booking an appointment, getting a listing. Super simple marketing that stands out in the mailbox. This is a campaign you can see here. This is a breakdown. Total investment of $1,580. The GCI she generated from this campaign was $223,000. Do you want to see the postcard? Here it is. The front of the card is, did you hear what just happened? The back of the card is, in case you haven't heard the news, the Coley Group just broke a price per square foot record in this area, and we kind of give all the details. So this is sort of announcing a sale, highlighting a specific feature. You can see here again, she got 2 listings, 2 buyers, did it again, got a listing, got a buyer. Every time you sell a house, it should create 2 or 3 more listing opportunities. Let's end with this one. I remember earlier when I said, hey, listen, take a picture of the Zestimate before you list the property. And so when you sell the property, you can do an Instagram poll just like this, which is just sold, $40,000 above the Zestimate. And on the next story is your Zestimate accurate? Yes, it's right. It's wrong. I don't know. And then when people respond, then you can offer them a professional CMA that gives them an accurate update on their home's value. So that's the listing strategy. I'm going to give you one last pro tip here before we wrap, Ryan. I mean, this market is tough. Like, don't get it twisted. I know we have a lot of hope and a lot of optimism going into 2024. What I have seen across I spoke in front of 25,000 agents last year, and the agents who are absolutely dominating the market, they got one thing in common. They have a bias for action. It's a great J.D. Rockefeller quote, action solves everything. I wanted to give you guys the ideas, the strategies, and tactics so you guys can go from where you are today to booking more appointments, having more conversations, and getting more listings. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for having me.